Stancliff with the Phoenix Restoration Project. Thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome.
With
Glad
KTAR.
Glad to be here.
I wanted to just ask, maybe talk really quick what the Phoenix Restoration Project does and some of the, maybe one or two highlights of the work that your agency, your organization has done within this immigration crisis.
Okay, well, the Phoenix Restoration Project has been around for about 5 years, and we have a really specific mission, which is to aid people coming out of immigration detention. So what that looks like is helping them make their travel arrangements to get on their way in their journey to their sponsor, who is likely a family member, to find overnight hospitality or short-term hospitality for people who aren't able to leave right away, and to provide some travel supplies, to triage, see if people need medical assistance. Lots of times people coming out of detention have some, there's some minor illnesses, usually kind of colds and dehydration, some stomach issues. So some of that kind of work. So the question is some highlights of...
Yeah, maybe one or two recently. I mean, I know I've heard migrants being taken into people's homes. And you
Sure, yeah. We have we're a volunteer organization, and we have a long list of volunteers. Many of them do hosting of migrants when they need it in their homes. That's been traditionally, that's been how we've operated. More recently, lots of organizations have gotten into this work. And so our role has shifted a little bit. We're now coordinating with a lot of the churches and other community organizations that are stepping up to do the hosting. And we've been doing more training because many people continue to want to be involved in this work. And so we schedule trainings to give people kind of an overview of what the work is. So, in terms of highlights of what we've been seeing recently, the numbers are pretty high right now in terms of people coming over. And so we've just been busy. And I think a real challenge for us right now, for all of the organizations that are participating, is communication and coordinating. So it's never clear exactly who ICE is going to call for a drop, and so we're usually, and then maybe sometimes that even after they've contacted somebody, the plan changes, and so there's a lot of coordination that needs to happen. So text, email, phone, there's all sorts of communication flying all over the place.
Let's talk about ICE real quick. And I know your organization and probably others, correct me if I'm wrong, have asked ICE, please give us more notice,
right,
that they're going to be released, the migrants will be released.
Right.
I've heard from indirectly from ICE and directly from local government agencies and those kinds of stakeholders that, ICE gets a batch. It doesn't know what it's going to expect the morning of even. They figure out who can be released after they've gone through the system as far as they can go, these migrants, and then they're just dropped off, released, maybe a couple of hours notice, maybe a little more or less than that. Mm-hmm. What's your thought on that? Do you see that perspective, or do you not buy it?
Well, I understand that they aren't prepared as they are now configured to handle the volume of people coming through, but from our perspective, that's a choice. Most of these people coming through right now from Central America are asylum seekers, and another way to handle this would be to allocate the resources to receive them humanely, these families and individuals. So the story of sort of what we hear from ICE and Border Patrol and Homeland Security is that their systems are overwhelmed, that they aren't set up to do this. But again, that's a choice. And we can not take responsibility for the humanitarian crisis on the border, or we can take responsibility for it. They're choosing not to, and then to say we're overwhelmed. So, no, we don't really buy. We really don't. We actually don't buy the crisis narrative. It's a decision. It's not. This language about surge and crisis. Of course, it's a dire situation for the people who are coming across. But it could be handled better.
Here's our top story.
KTAR News, 92.3 FM, Arizona's news station.